On Saturday, September 10th, there's a full moon in 17 degrees of Pisces, providing a softening and a sense of emotional release to the very detail-oriented season of Virgo. Let's break it down for all 12 signs. Hi guys, my name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment. I really appreciate all of that. And if you'd like to work with me, there are links down below. You can always book a reading. I am currently running a Virgo season special, which means that every Virgo sun gets 20% off natal and solar return readings. I was going to film this reading outside, this video outside, since I am doing my final 2 days in Nice, but it has just rained, and while I was preparing there, I got bitten by a mosquito in like multiple places, including on my butt, so I'm filming here. It's a lot less exciting, but you know, you have seen the background in my previous 2 videos, so you know what else is out there. Angry mosquitoes. So to bring us into this full moon, right, we have to talk about the background of this full moon, like what's happening at the time it occurs. And basically we are in Virgo season, right, where we just had a new moon in Virgo at the end of August. Mercury is retrograding at the time of the full moon, so there's a sense of like Mercury issues being zoomed in. There's a lot of rational questions with Virgo, a lot of detailed work, analytical, perfectionist type of thinking. A lot of planets are ruled by Mercury, so that like intellectual energy is strengthened even more, with Mars being in Gemini, Venus being in Virgo, Sun being in Virgo. And we are sort of at this place where we are very much questioning certain things, right? We may be questioning our goals. We may be planning a lot. We may be getting involved in deep conversations at the time of the full moon, right around the time of the full moon. And it's actually the energy that's present most of the month. We have Mercury opposing Jupiter, so that rational mind. And it's funny because the full moon is the opposition between the sun and the moon, and both the sun and the moon are ruled by Mercury and Mercury and Jupiter are opposing in the skies. So you have this energy of like rational mind, planning, knowing everything, trying to control things, right? Like trying to understand them and grasp them with your mind versus trying to feel them with your heart. And here with the full moon in Pisces, we're actually encouraged to feel things with our hearts, because by now, right, like there's been a lot of careful planning, organization, and like thinking, maybe being hard on yourself, maybe being self-critical. And with this full moon, you get to connect with the emotions, you get to relax, you get to chill for a little bit. So, you know, press pause on the busy brain of Virgo. We are dealing with tensions, right? As I mentioned, of the rational reality of the minutiae of life versus big dreams. And maybe with this new moon, you're getting to see that anything is possible and dreams can actually happen. Dreams can come true, especially with the full moon being conjunct Neptune. It's applying to Neptune, and Neptune has the energy of kind of, it's this ethereal quality, the dreams, you know, like stuff that the clouds are made of. It's like something you want to grasp, but you cannot grasp. So whenever the full moon is conjunct Neptune, it's not the most productive. It's the time to relax. It's the time to unwind. It's the time to connect with the creative side of you. Maybe go out, maybe meet friends. We are this month, right? Like Mercury going retrograde is the 6th planet retrograde, which is a quite rare occurrence. And this is the time when the world slows down. And this full moon like ushers us into the time where we are called to slow down. So don't expect too much of yourself. Know that this weekend of like September 10th, September 11th, which is Saturday and Sunday, might be best to like have fun and not expect too much of yourself. There might be some tensions, there might be some conflicts leading into the full moon with Mercury opposite Jupiter and with the moon squaring Mars. But I think it's almost like the entire month there's this energy of just like being in your head a lot and thinking of things, but like not feeling them, not allowing yourself to just express the feelings. And here you get a sense of like, okay, enough thinking, take a break, look at the, like zoom out, right? Take a step back, think of what truly matters. What is it you're trying to accomplish? What is it that drives you? What is your purpose? What does your soul want? And maybe your soul just wants to relax, right? That's sometimes like Pisces has the domain of like escaping and enjoying the time outside, the beautiful novel or a poem. And so let yourself chill a little bit. And let's talk about all 12 signs and see what this might like bring specifically to your rising sign. So for Aries rising, there's a full moon in the 12th house. And with the sun in Virgo being in your 6th house of daily work and health, you may have been like really focused on making your daily life more streamlined, more organized. Maybe you've been handling certain like health related matters. Maybe you've been going to the doctors and just you know, hustling and taking care of things. And with the full moon in the 12th house, you are encouraged to relax, to take a break, and to maybe look at how your mind and how your like negative thoughts impact your well-being. Because the 6th house and the 12th house, as every opposition of the houses, are interconnected. And here you get very much the energy of physical health with the 6th and mental health with the 12th. And with the full moon in the 12th, you are really called to release some kind of grasp, release the need to control, release the negative tendency, the negative habit, the bad behavior, the bad habit, and perhaps find a way to just be in the moment for as long as you can. For Taurus rising, we have a full moon in the 11th house. And for you, Virgo is the 5th house. It's the place of romance, creativity, and children. And so maybe you've been really like practical and taking care of your creative projects, maybe working with your kids or working with children in general. Maybe like you've been thinking about your relationship very rationally, right? Like 5th house is a fun house, but it's Virgo for you. So you tend to be more critical about those matters. You tend to be looking at relationships and joy from a point of view of like, well, how can this serve me? And now with the full moon in the 11th house, you may see some kind of culmination, some kind of completion of things on a larger level. You might sort of step out of this need to be nitpicky and organized and critical with everything you're working on. And maybe you get, it could be like as simple as like going out with friends and having a really fun night, enjoying yourself and forgetting about all of the projects or all of the children related matters that you have. Or it could be something bigger. Look at what was happening in your life early March with the new moon in Pisces, and there might be a sense of completing a project, receiving some kind of recognition. You might also be like releasing friendships, rethinking friendships in your life, and maybe questioning your goals, right? Like for Taurus risings, there's been a lot of personal growth. And this month is, with all the retrogrades, you're sort of thinking deeply about what is it that you want to achieve. And with the full moon in your 11th house, there might be a sense of like something that you've been working on with the Virgo season, right? Like 5th house, minutia, daily, like detailed work, technical skills. Something might be, maybe you need to change it somehow, right? Like maybe you feel like it's time to try something new. It's time to release the old way of doing things or an old project. Could be also a lovely time to just, like I said, unwind, connect with people you love, or volunteer, maybe give back to the community somehow. For Gemini rising, there's a full moon in the 10th house, which brings release and completion to the professional matters. Gemini rising, Virgo season could have brought a lot of attention to your home. Maybe you've been restructuring, reorganizing. My Gemini rising friend has just changed her apartment a little bit to make it more streamlined for the purposes of her family. So there could have been a lot of attention on other people, on your family, on your home. And with a full moon in your 10th house, in the sector of career, there might be something joyful, something imaginative, something creative happening professionally. Maybe you receive recognition for one of your projects. Maybe you get some kind of like good news, right? Completing a project as well as completing a professional chapter where you like, because, you know, the theme of like zooming out and looking at the big picture, looking at the purpose. And it has been an ongoing theme, I think, for Gemini risings, being like, what is it that makes you excited? What is it that makes your heart beat faster? And maybe with this full moon, you get a chance to get closer to that. You get a chance to ask yourself, is what I'm doing the right thing? Or do I want to pursue new dreams and maybe release the old professional responsibilities? For Cancer rising, there's a full moon in the 9th house, and there's a chance that you may be completing some kind of cycle of growth. And this could be very spiritual, right? With Virgo season for Cancer rising is activating your 3rd house. So you may be communicating more, you may be dealing with your schedule more, making sure, juggling a lot of things at the same time. Maybe you're studying, maybe you're teaching, maybe you're doing all these like projects with your hands. And with the full moon in Pisces, you may get to look at your opinion of the world and your place in it versus just being like too attached to, or, you know, too focused on the minutiae of life. You may look at the bigger picture. You may kind of question your place in the world and see whether things that you're filling your life with, whether they feel satisfying and authentic and real, or maybe they need to be changed, and maybe what you want is actually move to another state, right? Or to another country. As well as accomplishing something in the education, legal, and travel fields as possible here. Maybe you realize that you want to write something, or you publish your work and you get recognition, you get visibility for your thoughts because you're sort of stepping away from being focused on the daily life and going towards asking big questions and pursuing big goals. For Leo rising, there's a full moon in the 8th house, and with Virgo season, you are really focused on your finances. Maybe you're figuring out new professional ventures, maybe you're asking for a raise, maybe you're making changes to your savings account, etc. And with the full moon in the 8th house, you are encouraged to step away from all of this need to be organized and kind of, you know, good with money, and maybe spend some money, because 8th house is the house of like shared resources and working with other people and sometimes like investments. So maybe it's a good time to invest into something. You may receive a gift. You may sort of receive good fortune and blessings from other people because, like I said, 8th house is other people's things. Maybe it's even your partner, right? Like maybe your partner is doing well and something exciting happens in their financial life. Additionally, I think all this focus on the finances perhaps could lead, with the full moon in Pisces, for you to look at the underlying energy beneath it all, kind of the spiritual part of it, the psychological part of it. And the full moon in Pisces can make you realize that maybe the job you're doing is not the job, or maybe you need to adjust something, or maybe your financial goals are actually connected to the search for love, right? Or something else like that. There might be deep therapy breakthroughs and understandings with this full moon, as well as I wonder if for some of you, I wonder if this brings like some kind of forgiveness of a debt or closing of a debt, right? Like Neptune has a sense of like dissolving things. So maybe that's a part of it. For Virgo rising, there's a full moon in the 7th house. And Virgo risings have been really focused on their personal life, on their schedule, on their appearance, and maybe personal projects, right? Like pursuing things that make you, just kind of working really hard. And here with the full moon in the 7th house, there might be something relaxing and enjoyable happening in your partnerships. Maybe you spend time with your partner, and maybe there's a sense of like, yes, I'm working on myself, I'm pursuing all these goals, but let me take a break. Let me spend time with my partner and maybe enjoy this relationship. And the full moon in the 7th house can actually bring a sense of commitment, right? Some kind of new beginning to your relationship, even though it's a full moon, so it's usually a completion. But completion could mean ending one chapter of a relationship and starting a new one. So two ways, right? This can always play out, full moon in the 7th house. Whether you commit and join forces with someone is one way, or maybe you step away from a relationship and you realize that you actually need more alone time and you need to focus on yourself in order to be a better partner, and then relationship dissolves and both people go their own way. Learning, I think with the full moon in Pisces, learning to let go of control a little bit could be the topic for Virgo risings. I know it's hard, nearly impossible, right? But the full moon in Pisces might very much be like asking you to chill a little bit, right? And it's not, you don't have control, right? As much as you try, things happen, you have to adapt. So you can only control so much. And so this full moon could be about letting go of the need to be in charge. For Libra risings, there's a full moon in the 6th house. And Libra risings have been with the sun in the 12th. Venus has entered the 12th. There's been a lot of focus on spirituality and maybe like retreating and focusing on self, and maybe doing therapy, maybe spending some time alone. One sec. But just, I think, I have noticed that, let me know if you've noticed that there's been like a sense of like retreating and maybe trying to analyze your self-defeating tendencies and sort of like having a better connection with yourself, but at the same time, maybe stressing yourself out with all this analyzing and thinking deeply about what needs to be improved. And the full moon in the 6th just kind of pulls you out of it for a little bit and says that learn to relax, learn to enjoy the moment, right? It's not like maybe you will heal the things that you're working on. Maybe you will heal them part of the way, but not fully. But you can also enjoy the moment. You can enjoy being in the swing of things, right? Like while things are confusing, Mercury is retrograde, like you don't have all the answers, but maybe it's a good time to just unwind. And there might be some kind of completion regarding to your health. Maybe a health issue wraps up. Maybe you release some kind of debt related to health. Fingers crossed. If you've been listening to me talk, you know that I mentioned having a dentist bill that is still up in the air, so wish me luck. But yeah, like your focus kind of goes to the present moment, and maybe you enjoy being in the moment, you enjoy being in like a healthy physical space, and learn to let go of some of the negative tendencies that involve self-sabotage and just thinking too much about things. Instead, you focus on being in the moment. And together with health, you may see changes related to serving other people, right? If you've been thinking about giving back, this could be a great time to give back and volunteer. You might actually find joy in taking some of the pressure off of you and going to actually give some of your time and energy to other people, right? Because when you you kind of focus on other people, you do good deeds, you feel good. So think of that. For Scorpio rising, we have a full moon in the 5th house. And Scorpios have had the Sun in Virgo, Venus in Virgo in their 11th house. So there's a lot of focus on friendships, on the outward satisfaction, outward recognition, your place in the world, people who support you. And the full moon in the 5th house is actually quite beautiful. It's the place of creativity. It's the place of romance and joy and children. So there might be a sense of like retreating back to your place of joy and focusing on creativity and maybe like allowing yourself to paint for hours, right? Like stepping away from that mindset of like, what am I achieving? Who are these people in my life? Are they supportive? Are they not? And just connecting with yourself, connecting with your imagination, connecting with your partner, spending time with children, right? There might be some sort of completion of a matter related to the child, like, you know, maybe they start kindergarten. There might be a sense of healing your inner child. Also, if you're so focused on all these accomplishments and being accepted by other people with a full moon in Pisces, you may learn that the only person who needs to accept you is your inner child, right? And then everything is peachy after that. But yeah, like even just having a lovely date, having a lovely experience where you can just enjoy it and be in it versus trying to go after things and be like turned on and be so careful and analytical could be the time. For Sag rising, there's a full moon in the 4th house, and for Sag rising, Virgo season have brought a lot of focus on the career. One of my favorite stories that someone shared on Instagram is like starting to make some kind of health I can't remember what it was. How often it happens with me having a Gemini moon mentioning something and then realizing I don't know where the sentence ends. But I'm pretty sure it was like some sort of like health herbal product that she started to offer, sell professionally. And it's very much like if you're a Sag rising, Virgo is your 10th house. So professionally, you want to serve people, help, heal, give back, take care, right? So for Sag risings, there's been a lot of focus on the professional growth and professional expansion, maybe trying to figure out what you want to do. And the full moon in the 4th takes your attention away from the career and puts it on the home and your sense of security, and maybe makes you realize that it's not about the outward search for recognition, right? It's not about the likes, even though they don't hurt. Press those thumbs up, the YouTube thing. Anyways, so you might realize with a full moon in your 4th house, there might be some kind of like something pulling you towards your home, and maybe you are realizing that the joy actually lies in being with family, or, you know, all of the achievement can wait, and instead you can focus on growth and, you know, personal security within your nest. You may see changes in the family because oftentimes, right, it's not just the full moon draws your attention. Something happens and that draws your attention to the home. So maybe there's changes in the family, maybe a family member needs you and you spend time with them and you connect with them. There might be completion of a home renovation project, of some kind of move and real estate matter, anything like that. And something that I feel like it happens and brings you more satisfaction, lets you experience a sense of releasing something and feeling more at ease and more peaceful. So enjoy time with family or time in your happy home during the weekend of this full moon. For Capricorn rising, there's a full moon in the 3rd house, and you are completing some type of a writing project maybe, or you're completing a communication matter, right? Like it could be a lot of different things. It could be maybe you've been working on a podcast, maybe you've been writing, as I mentioned, maybe there's been like a blog that you've been trying to put out. And this could be the time where you get a sense of, this is ready, I'm ready to put it out in the world. This could also be the time where any conflicts, any matters that you've been struggling with, any issues with other people come to a close, come to a resolution, just because you're able to express yourself in a peaceful way. It is a full moon in Pisces, right? It's in the house of your neighborhood and neighbors and siblings. So if you've been dealing with any misunderstandings, any conflicts around this time, there might be a sense of like forgiveness and releasing something and letting it go. So maybe a culmination of a challenging situation through the use of your words and the use of your healing. The healing touch of your communication can be very much a part of that. And also if you've been dealing, right, with Virgo season, if you've been dealing with a legal matter, if you've been dealing with some kind of education thing, or like travel plans and being just like super organized with all these deadlines and steps and like etc., the full moon in the third house could be like, take a break, relax, connect with people right next to you, be in the moment. Third house is your like daily life. So enjoy things that are happening around you, because chances are there's a bunch of beautiful things happening around you. For Aqua rising, there's a full moon in the second house, and Virgo season activates your 8th house. So maybe you've been dealing with working with other people, collaborating, spending time, figuring out the resources of other people, maybe your partner, just kind of like putting yourself out there and connecting with other people a lot, and maybe even wondering what's fair, what's not fair, how you can like join your resources together with them. Maybe you were dealing with mortgages, anything like that, etc. And the full moon in your second house is actually putting focus on you. It's encouraging you to reconnect with yourself, to sort of, ask, what do you value? And maybe think of what makes you feel secure in life, right? Like what makes you feel, because if you've been with Virgo season, if you've been like too caught up with other people and thinking of them and thinking of what they need and what matters to them, you may have forgotten what is it that you want and what is it that makes you happy. So this full moon could be a chance for you to rearrange things and maybe rethink things and look at what makes you feel happy and secure and valued. And that's how, by taking care of yourself, you can also take care of a relationship and bring a better sense of balance. There might be changes financially coming to you with this full moon, like paying off a debt, getting a raise, closing a job, because maybe part of this full moon in Pisces is realizing that the job you currently have doesn't feel I like how it's the full moon video and the key word is feel. How does it feel? So maybe it doesn't feel satisfying and you are encouraged to let go of it or try something new. And finally, for Pisces rising, there's a full moon in your first house. And with Virgo season activating your 7th house, we just had a new moon in your 7th house. You are likely have been focusing on your relationships, maybe very heavily, maybe questioning where things are going, spending more time with your partner, catering to them, talking to them, engaging with them. And this full moon happening in your first house is really encouraging you to connect with yourself. If you need alone time, if you need to retreat, spend some time with yourself, question. But like it's not even, it's quite the opposite energy of Virgo questioning things. Here you just maybe want to go within and maybe even enjoy all the accomplishments you have accomplished, all the things you have accomplished in your life. Maybe you're releasing something, right? Like maybe the old version of you is no longer here, likely even because of all the things that are happening in the house of relationships. So you're closing a chapter, you're letting go of an old image of yourself, you're completing a cycle of expansion and growth, right? And this full moon is really asking you to appreciate all the things you have accomplished, to be ready to release the old version of yourself and welcome a new one. And whatever that means, you know, whatever like old sense of self needs to die, don't be afraid to let that go. And like, you know, there could be a lot of different things. Like maybe Jupiter is about to get back into your first house, and maybe you are pursuing a new career and you're sort of standing on the verge of like letting go of the old one. Or maybe there's a new relationship that's coming into your life and you need to release the old, like the old image of yourself as like a single, free to mingle, whatever that might be. So be ready to make the changes necessary. Ask, what is it that you ultimately see yourself doing? What is your big goal, and what makes you feel most valued, most worthy, most happy? And then most likely the answer is within. So use this full moon as a chance to reconnect with yourself. And this is it. And it's perfect time to wrap it up because the sun has set and I'm losing the light. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. It was sort of an impromptu, like I said, the last couple of days in France. I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep right now. I mean, too soon to go to sleep. But thank you again. Thank you for being here. I love you guys. Enjoy this full moon.